Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thanks to our witnesses as well for being here today. And we've heard from the witnesses about the bumps along the way with the Paycheck Protection Program. But overall, I think it has been a resounding success, at least for Iowa businesses and their workers. And we have been able to save thousands of jobs through that program. According to a Census Bureau survey that was done in mid-May, 77% of Iowa's small businesses had applied for PPP, and 76 of them actually received PPP. So again, it was a success, at least in Iowa. However, with some of those bumps as described, we have heard from some of those Iowa businesses, including, just as Senator Cardin had pointed out, restaurants, those event venues, hotels. They will need more than 8 weeks of the PPP loan to actually make it through this. For example, my office did hear from an Iowa sportswear business that creates apparel for pro sports teams to sell at their various venues, at the ballparks, the arenas, but they've seen a 96% decline in their revenue. And they have been able to keep their 27 employees on payroll because of the PPP, but the 8-week period expires this week, and they will now be forced to furlough those 27 folks. So additional time and flexibility, I think many of us agree that those businesses who have received the PPP, they may need additional flexibility. There are many more that still may need additional assistance in the future. There are gaps that we have to close up, and I think it's important that we are talking about it today to make sure these distressed businesses can survive and retain their employees. So we understand the issues with PPP. We're glad it's there. There are some corrections to be made. I think we can do that. I would like to discuss EIDL a little bit as well, because we have pointed out there are issues there too. And Mr. Strain, I'll direct this to you. In your testimony, you cited research showing that 50% of small businesses have fewer than 15 days of cash liquidity, and only 40% have more than 3 weeks of a cash buffer. And so this shows how important it is that we get assistance to small businesses as quickly as possible. So the PPP has been effective in that regard, but the Main Street Lending Program and the Emergency Injury Disaster Loan have not. I've heard from many Iowa small business owners that submitted EIDL applications over 2 months ago, and they still have not heard anything back from SBA. So could you maybe discuss the implications of these delays for those small businesses, in particular with EIDL and Main Street lending?
Thank you, Senator. It's a real concern. I think the delays in processing these applications and getting these programs online are some real hardships on businesses. As you said, businesses can cover some period of time without revenue or without normal revenue. But really, that period of time for most businesses is measured in weeks and not in months. It's taken 2 months for the Main Street program to get online. There are serious problems with getting EIDL applications passed. Businesses don't have zero revenue. They are receiving some revenue, or at least most of them are, and the amount of revenue they're receiving each week seems to be going up, at least according to some new Census Bureau survey results. So they can hold on for a month or 2 or 3 or something like that, but at some point they're going to need to lay off all their workers, and at some point, something even more severe could happen to these businesses. They really could go out of business if they can't fill that revenue hole. So it really is imperative that these programs be administered correctly and get online as quickly as possible. With respect to the Main Street program, that is a Fed lending facility, but under the law, the parameters of that program have to be approved by the Treasury Department. And I have serious concerns that the parameters that the Treasury Department has put in place will lead to no one using the program. There won't be borrowers or lenders. Under Treasury's parameters, lenders have to apply normal credit standards, or they're incentivized to apply normal credit standards for loans through this facility because they have to hold between 5 and 15% of any loan that they make. Why would a bank participate in this facility if it has to apply or it's encouraged to apply normal lending standards? The same thing goes with borrowers. Which borrower could get a commercial loan? I think this has to be looked at pretty seriously if the program is going to succeed, and I think it's not off to a good start.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the comment. And Mr. Seamus, I wanted to acknowledge something that you said that really resonated with me, and that businesses need to be innovative as they move forward. Innovation will be the key to our success. We can't simply exist the way that we have in the past, but we need to utilize innovation. We're an innovation nation, and our businesses can also find creative ways to move through. So thank you for mentioning that. I really do appreciate it. And thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate your time.